Hi, I'm Marcus. As you've seen on my channel, I do a little bit of Toge and Gymkhana videos, but I also really like rally car driving as well. These styles of racing I really enjoy because of the application of physics that they have. I'm quite fascinated by physics, I enjoy studying it, and one thing I really love is putting it to the test. So I thought I'd do a bit of an educational video this time. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Wheelcaster in terms of wheel geometry. Enjoy! In this video, I'm going to be talking about caster, which is something that has been kind of unfamiliar to me. And one of the first times I heard about it, it was merely just an anecdote about how caster has something to do with steering or improving the steering. So I wasn't satisfied with that explanation, so I wanted to try and figure it out myself. And after a little while, I think I've figured out how it works. So I'm going to try and explain it in this video. And hopefully, not only will this help me, but it'll also help you if you're trying to improve your racing or just wondering how cars work. So let's get into it. What we have on the screen is a diagram of what Wheelcaster looks like. So in the red, we have the kingpin angle, which is the angle at which the shocks and struts connect to the center of the wheel. And that's compared to the zero angle, which is this blue line, which represents basically just 0 degrees. It's a reference point for which we can measure caster. So in this diagram, the front of the vehicle is towards the left. So just to help with that, I'll draw a little engine here. So you can imagine that we've got like a little car that's going on here. Now, with positive caster, the angle is towards the front. So it's if the struts are pointing kind of like towards the front of the car, down towards the ground. Neutral caster is where it's perfectly straight, and negative caster is where it's pointing backwards towards the ground. Which is a little strange, at least to me. But it has an interesting effect. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw what the wheels and tires look like from a top-down view. So if I give myself some more room here, you can imagine what I'm drawing here is a top-down view of these tires, and specifically the underside of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to give us some traction. So with all tires, they touch the ground. And with all wheels that are circular, hoping your wheels are circular too, there will be a contact patch between the tires and the ground. So if you're on a flat surface, this will always be at the dead center of the bottom of the wheel. So in blue here, it's going to represent where we maintain traction with the ground. And that allows our wheels to spin. And that's basically what allows a car to roll. So all of these tires have traction at the moment. And that traction is represented by this little patch here. Now, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you where the kingpin lands. The angle of the kingpin, where it lands on each of the tires. So in the case of positive caster, the axis of rotation would be here at the front of the wheel. If, of course, we're traveling forward and up towards the top of this little whiteboard. For neutral caster, we're in the center. The axis is around the center. And the negative caster, the axis is pointing towards the back of the wheel. So let's say that we're sliding towards the right. So the momentum of our vehicle is sliding towards the right. Our entire car has lost traction, and we're just moving in a perfect direction towards the right. Catastrophic. But how does that affect our tires and our wheels? So first of all, we have the tractive force. So if we're traveling towards the right, what we have is a force that applies at the point of traction of the wheels. In this case, we've lost traction, so there's a smaller force that's applying, but there is a force. and it is pushing that tire. It's contacting between the tire and the road, and it's pushing that wheel in that direction. So imagining what our strut is doing here, our kingpin angle and our point of axis, it's here at the front. So because there's some distance between the front and where the traction is applied and where that force is actually applying, we're able to rotate. That. So what you'll find is that as we push the wheel towards the left, because we're traveling to the right, the wheel will turn in this direction because it can rotate around this point here because of that distance in between. So if we take a look at what the neutral caster looks like, so let's say we're still sliding towards the right, so that means we have a force that applies at this point here. We have the rotation, the axis of rotation at the exact center of where our traction is as well. And basically it's like pushing directly against this point in the wheel. There's no distance between that axis of rotation and where that force is being applied. So it's basically just pushing against that rod. It's pushing against that strut. So in a perfect world, we're not going to have any rotation. This tire is not going to rotate. We're just going to continuously slide towards the right. Now, for negative caster, this is where it gets interesting. So we have the force that pushes against the tire in that direction. And we're sliding to the right still. And we have our axis of rotation towards the back. The distance, there's distance between that axis of rotation and where the force is applied. So naturally, you're going to see the wheel turn to the left. And that might be good depending on what you're doing. But I would say it's not great for most situations. Yeah, that is pretty much how caster works, and I hope that explains it fairly well from a theoretical perspective. So next up, I have some demonstrations that I want to take you through to actually show you what this looks like in a simulator. Let's go and check it out. Hello again. What I have here now are a couple clips that I got from BeamNG earlier today. So what I have are 3 different configurations of caster. What we're working with here is the Hirochi 2.5 liter 2-stage turbo from BeamNG. And I'm working with 100% caster, 0% caster, and minus 100% caster. Now, these percentages are with reference to the stock caster. And as you'll find, it's probably not exactly neutral, but the principle still remains similar, and I'll show you that as we go through the demonstrations. Now, let's talk about the different configurations. This one that you're seeing here is positive caster. So you can see here, compared to the 0 degree point of the wheel, if you were to look at from its direct middle, the shocks here, you can just see the shocks. They lie just behind that with reference to the front of the car. So you can see here that this is clearly positive caster, as the struts are pointing towards the front of the car, towards the ground. Next we have 0% caster in the tuning. And you can see that although it's a little bit positive caster, it's a lot less than what we saw before. It almost lines perfectly up with the 0 degree point of the wheel. And then if we look at minus 100% caster, you can see that this is probably either maybe neutral caster or negative caster, because the shocks lie what looked to me is almost directly above the 0 point and directly in line with the 0 degree point. So what I'm going to do is I'll first explain what you're seeing here with the top-down view. So I'm just in a parking lot at the moment. I got some drift tires on, and we're going to take a look at some of the metrics and stuff that are happening as I drive. And what I want to do is I want to basically just kind of do a pendulum turn around these 2 light poles. And that's what I'm going to do for each of these demonstrations, with one thing that's different, which is that I won't continue with the drift. I'll initiate the drift, but I won't continue with it. As soon as I come in to the pendulum turn and I turn in to the curve, I will pull the handbrake and let go of the steering wheel and push the clutch in, and then let go of the handbrake and then do nothing else. I won't hit the throttle, I won't drop the clutch, I'll just let it do whatever it wants to do. And the point of this is to get my car sliding so that I can see what happens to the wheels when they actually encounter that force that we talked about. On the screen, you'll also see some metrics. So this here where the steering wheel is, you can see what's actually happening on my sim rig in terms of the steering wheel and how I'm turning the car. You also have the clutch, the brake, the throttle, and the handbrake, also just under that. So you can see what inputs I'm putting to the car. You have the speedometer, pretty simple. You have the boost gauge as well. You have the force gyroscope, I think that's called. So you can see what forces are acting on my car as I drive it. And then you have the wheels and the traction of the wheels. So you'll see these go full gray if I've lost traction. So let's take a look at the first one. So this is with positive caster, 100% positive caster. So coming in, handbrake, slide, and let go of everything. So you can see here that I've got the wheels turning in the direction that I'm actually sliding. So the positive caster is actually working here. It's helping me to maintain traction on my front wheels so that I can continue with the drift. And as you can see, I've come a pretty far way. I've got like a little curve going here, which is pretty good. And then if we take a look closely at what the wheels look like, this is in half speed, by the way. So handbrake, let go of the steering wheel. You can see clearly there that my wheel is turned. So you can see the steering wheel input there has turned towards the right. And you can actually see that my wheel has in fact turned to the right as well. So the forces acting on the traction at the base of the wheel are rotating the wheel on the axis of that kingpin. There's probably a better one. That's the maximum that it experienced there. So you can see that positive caster does turn your wheel in the direction in which you're sliding. So if we take a look at 0% caster, so I believe this is what it would be stock. Coming in, handbrake. So you can see that there was a little bit of turning there. So you can slightly just see the wheel on the screen there turning towards the right. So that indicates to me that there's positive caster, even at stock settings. But if we continue this, you can see that we didn't go as far as we wanted to. We still had a little bit of a curve going there, but in the end, we ended up kind of like around here, whereas now we've ended up kind of like around here. So if you take a look at what that looks like close up, into the drift, letting go of the wheel. So you can see not much in terms of turning. I think right here you see a little bit of turning towards the direction of motion, but you can see it's definitely significantly lower than 100% on positive caster. So finally, let's look at 100% negative. So if you take a close look here, you can just faintly see the wheels from the top-down view, and they're not pointed in the direction in which we're sliding. So if we continue, you can see we end up basically in a straight line. Even though we've slid a little bit, we're basically back. We might as well have just gone forward and not done a drift at all. So if we take a look at that real close up, you might see this. It also felt really different driving this. Alright, handbrake, letting go of the wheel. So you can see we're still turned. To get into that pendulum drift, what I have to do is I have to turn left, then turn right, and then turn left again, hit the handbrake, drop the clutch, and as soon as I finished that turn left, I let go of the steering wheel. And you can see now, it's still doing it. It's still turned towards the left, even down here. And that's because the angle of the kingpin is going towards the back of this wheel, whereas our contact patch was here. So we have a little bit of turn towards the left. So hopefully that's helped explain caster for you. And now for something a little bit fun.